What I'm trying to show you, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. No way that you can learn, if I speak in Spanish to you, can you get with me. And by the way, I just told you, God bless you.
All right.
You must have the Spirit of the Lord to talk with him and to communicate with him. For whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Joel said, in the last days, Joel talked about a threefold prophecy. Joel 2 and 28. In Joel 2:28 down to the 31st verse is the close out of everything.
All right.
The first thing we see in the 28th verse, it shall come to pass, saith God, not Johnson, that I'm going to pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. I told you, if you got it, it'll work what you do. Servants and handmaids. What he's showing you there is no respect of person. A person that did their heart right, God will bless them. A person that is hungry, Matthew 5 and 6, blessed he which do hunger and thirst. What's wrong with a lot of us? We're not hungry. I don't like liver, but if I get hungry, I'll eat it. I don't like spinach, but if I get hungry, I'll eat it. And when a person is hungry, they'll seek after God. They won't be satisfied. I remember when the Lord saved me in his sweet self. I love the Lord. I remember when the Lord saved me, I was so happy for my newfound faith. I would go at home at night and sleep with my Bible.
All right.
Then the Lord sanctified me. It didn't take no 6 weeks or 6 months. Within a week's period, God saved me, according to St. John 15 and 3. Ye are sanctified through the word which I have spoken unto you. I heard the preacher preach things that I had never heard a sanctified preacher preach, because first of all, everything in my life was the first. That was the first time in my life I ever heard a sanctified preacher. That was the first time in my life I ever walked in a sanctified church. Never seen a sanctified preacher I know on TV or heard on radio. That's why I speak so bold about God. I know what God can do. Never heard a sanctified preacher, never been in a sanctified church in my life, never hung around a church, just had devils. Just lived there. And everybody in my family didn't know God. But there was something about it. When I entered that church and heard the word, God sanctified me. But this is what I'm getting to. I wasn't satisfied. I was sanctified, but I wasn't satisfied. The preacher was doing something I couldn't do. And what was that? I saw him speaking in tongues. Never seen anyone speaking in tongues before. But that night when that man operated on the influence of faith, he said, some folks carry for the Holy Ghost. He said, but we're going to do like the Bible said. Now, you know, you can carry for the Holy Ghost. Some folks got so big, and preachers got so big, they teach you how to carry. You know what I'm doing now? Carry. I'm waiting on God's Spirit to tell me what to do, how to do, where to go, and how to say it. But he did, according to Acts, the 19th chapter, he let Paul went to the Ephesus Ghost. He found certain disciples. He asked them a simple question. They were honest, but they was ignorant. He said, have you received the Holy Ghost since you believe? We got a lot of believers that don't mean you got the Holy Ghost. And they said, we have not so much as heard what there be a Holy Ghost. That's good enough. You're honest and you're ignorant. And the word ignorant is not a bad word altogether. It simply means you don't know. I'm ignorant to a lot of things, and so are you. I don't know how to fly no B-52. I don't know how to drive a tank. I don't know how to pilot a submarine. But when it comes to the things of God, I don't want to be ignorant. And he laid a hands upon them, and they received the Holy Ghost and spake with tongues. The Lord baptized them with the Holy Ghost at first. Here you go again, first. Not 6 months, 6 weeks, or a year. The first night I sought God for the Holy Ghost, watch this. Watch this! Filled with the Holy Ghost, spake with fluent tongues. When we got through speaking in tongues, I would stand in the floor and pray and say, Lord, let me speak again. And the Spirit of the Lord would come upon me and I start speaking again. I'm going to tell it. About 90 miles from here, it happened. Oh, God's wonderful. Let me tell you about sweet Jesus. Spoke in tongues. Every time you go down, I said, let me speak again. It come up again. It was such a glorious experience. Every time you come up, go down in me. I asked him, let me see it again. It was going. Now, I had a problem. I have my style. Oh, shit. I had a problem. I could speak in tongues, but I couldn't interpret it. Eskalu. Sha. O. S. O. Ina. Sheao. Sheosa. Ho. Hey. But one night, God worked. We was at the church there where this brother's dad was the pastor. And a strange thing happened that had never happened to him before. The Spirit of the Lord come upon me. I got up and spake in tongues. And that pastor, every one of my messages, pretty much, wherever I travel preach, I preach under the influence of His Spirit, or I'm going to teach His doctrine. He was a spiritual man, very spiritual. He was a man that spoke the word, and he was a man that was unknown. Now watch this. Out of all my travels, you document this. Out of all my travels and all the people I have met up with and preached, and never. You document that. Never. I meet a lot of people. Thousands of people meet a lot of ministers. And he was a quiet figure. And you don't know that. He's the greatest man that I ever met. Yes, Lord. He got back out the way. God used us that night. We went up and down through there speaking in tongues. And that was the first night God used me to interpret what I was saying. He's a spiritual man. I love him today. I love him. Pastor Artist, I love him. He's a spiritual man. I run to him. And he was sitting there. He knew what the Spirit was saying through me. And when I run to him, I said, some you was there with me. What can we do? Say yes. Say yes. I said, somebody's going to die. He said, I know it. But what he didn't know, he was going to be involved. About a week or two later, his wife had to get up because somebody died in Alabama and go down there. All right. And it just kept snowballing and kept coming. Later on, someone else died in Alabama, but y'all didn't go down there. Then somebody come opened the front door in the church one Sunday, right after that, and we was here on church and opened the door on Brooklyn and said, is Mother Green a member here? Y'all remember that? And I'll make up you remember. Said, no, she's not a member here. Why? Because she has died, and we want to know who's going to officiate and take care of her body. Cross town over in Holy Temple, young lady rolled out and she was on the third cell dead. That was the beginning of the ministry. And since that time, God has proven and shown to me the three ways that He's going to use us in prophecy. Now you hold on. Don't get them run out now. Don't y'all run out. I'm getting ready to talk. Don't y'all run out. He showed me that He was going to tell me when a person was going to die. He showed me that He's going to tell me when a person was going to be blessed. If I tell them they're going to be blessed, they was going to be blessed. He showed me when I tell a person that they're going to be cursed and not going to prosper, they wasn't going to prosper. And all three ways of those prophecies, God has fulfilled. A lot of times, it's been known that whenever I preach this way, a lot of times God demonstrates in the same service. So how can they hear without a preacher? They can't. A preacher got to preach. Preachers got to preach. And as you preach, look at this setting tonight. Look at this setting. We go here and there. And everywhere we go, the people assemble themselves to hear the word of the Lord. Folks are tired. Folks want to roll. Folks want to. Everybody don't want to be lost. Somebody want to hear the truth. Somebody want to put back to God. Now you preachers listen. Listen. Please listen, boys. It's too late for you. When I first got to church, I've been hearing this down through the times. There was a man down in Memphis, Tennessee. He was born handicapped where he didn't have any legs. They would take him and just sit his body up on the, couldn't see his legs. He'd sit up and fall right there. And he was an evangelist. I believe he was the first one to know. He said Bishop Mason saw in a vision that there was a train on its way to hell. The only problem, he said, it was full of preachers. And I've been hearing it every state I go into. I hear different ministers say the same thing. I was just in Gulfport, Mississippi well, I was preaching in Biloxi that night, and the pastor of that church in the temple, the Nance Temple, he said the same thing. He said, Bishop Mason folded his hands up and said he saw a train that was heading to hell and said it was full of preachers. Preachers, you got to give a response. You got to be responsible. You won't be responsible. You charge if the people be lost under your guilt. Especially if you are too lazy and too trifling to preach. And don't want to hurt folks' feelings. This is what you got, Mama. God is not concerned about your feelings. He's concerned about your soul. And the preacher should be concerned about his own soul. Because Paul said, woe be unto me. You know what woe means? That's sour. That's destruction. Woe be unto me if I preach not the gospel. We're old folks. We won't preach to them. We won't motivate them. You ain't going to have no faith in these people unless you preach faith. You folks will never believe God for the impossible unless you preach faith in Him. I don't blame the people. I don't blame you folks. I blame the preacher like God did. God said these folks are led astray because of the leaders. You can't be no more than a leader. If your preacher don't preach faith to you, if your preacher don't preach to you that God's the deliverer, healer, and savior, you'll never know it. We need men that got backbone. Don't back down for their wife. Don't back down for their mother. Don't back down for so-and-so and Mr. So-and-so. And don't back down for the multitude. I don't care how they look at you, how they don't give you an offering, how they don't shake your hand. Preach the gospel. I got a young man right now, few words, and them the ones that count. Few words. He don't write me a long letter and say, pray for me.